Have you ever met someone online and felt deep in your gut that what you were talking to wasn't human? Not a bot, not a glitch, something else entirely. This story happened to a guy I'll call Zain. He's real, the experience was real, and what happened to him in those few minutes stayed with him for months afterward. Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more true horror stories like this. Now sit back, turn the lights down if you want, and listen closely. Zain was in his early 20s. He lived alone in a small apartment, the kind of place that feels too quiet after midnight. His father had worked in Kuwait for years, sending money back home, while his mother, well, she was dealing with her own world. That left Zain with a lot of time on his hands, and like a lot of young guys with too much time and too little human connection, he found himself doing something that felt harmless at the time. He would go on random video chat apps, the kind where you spin a digital wheel and land on a complete stranger anywhere in the world. No profiles, no usernames, just a face, or sometimes no face at all. Most of the time, it was boring. Guys looking for laughs, people selling things, and the usual chaos of the internet. But one night, one specific night in late autumn, everything changed. It was past midnight. Zain had his music playing loud, one of those deep bass tracks he loved, the kind that fills the whole room. He was in a good mood, clicking through strangers, not expecting anything unusual. The only light in the room was the cold blue glow of his laptop screen. His ceiling fan clicked above him in a slow, uneven rhythm, and an empty tea mug sat beside the keyboard, still leaving a faint bitter smell in the room. Then he clicked next, and the screen changed. A woman appeared. She was wearing a niqab, the full face veil with only her eyes visible. She was sitting completely still. In the background, there was nothing, just darkness. No wall, no light source, like she was sitting in an endless void. There was no bed behind her, no curtain, no door frame, no weak bulb in the corner. Even the camera noise looked strange, almost too flat, as if the darkness behind her was not a dark room at all, but a blank space swallowing every detail. The moment she appeared, Zain's music was still blasting, and something strange happened. She started moving, slowly at first, then more rhythmically, like she was dancing to his music in this dark, featureless room, just swaying silently. Zain thought it was funny, honestly. A little weird, maybe, but funny. So he leaned toward his mic, started typing in the chat box, then decided to ask out loud. He remembered the exact feeling of the desk under his wrist, the vibration of the bass through the cheap speakers, and the way the screen glow caught only her eyes. Everything around him felt ordinary. That was what made her frame feel so wrong. "Hey, what's your name?" Nothing. She kept dancing, like she hadn't heard him at all. So he asked again, a little louder this time. "Hey, what's your name?" Still nothing. He figured maybe her mic was off, maybe she was just messing around. He waited a few more seconds, watching her sway in that dark frame, and asked one more time, "Can you tell me your name?" And this time, she answered. Her lips barely moved behind the veil, but a sound came out. Zain told me later he struggled to describe it. He said it wasn't like a human voice. It wasn't robotic either. It was something in between, like whatever was making that sound had only ever heard a human voice once and was trying to copy it from memory. The sound came through his speakers, too close and too dry. No breath before the words, no room echo after them. Just a thin, strained voice pressed directly into the audio, like it had been placed there without passing through a human throat. The sound made the hair on his arms stand up. He didn't understand what she said, not one word, but it didn't sound like any language, at least not one he could place. Arabic, maybe, or something older. He just didn't know. "Sorry, I didn't catch that," he said, leaning closer to his screen. "Could you say it again?" She said it again, slower this time, and still nothing. No meaning, no recognition, just that sound, that awful, wrong sound. Zain sat back in his chair. Something was crawling under his skin. Not fear exactly, not yet, just a deep, instinctive wrongness, the kind your body knows before your brain catches up. He wasn't sure why he did what he did next. Maybe it was instinct, maybe it was habit, maybe some part of him already sensed that something darker was sitting on the other side of that screen. He minimized the music player and opened his Quran recitation app. The recitation began to play. A calm, clear voice from a well-known reciter filled the small apartment with the words of the Holy Quran. The bass disappeared first, and the apartment suddenly felt much smaller. The fan was still clicking. The laptop was still warm under his palms. But now, the only clear sound in the room was the recitation. And the moment it started, she stopped dancing. Just like that, completely, like someone had cut a string. She went completely still. And for a second, Zain thought maybe the connection had frozen. But no, her eyes were still moving. She was still there. She was looking at him. And then she started gesturing, waving her hand toward him, like, "No, stop, turn it off." Then the chat message came through. "Put the song back on." Not, "Please," not, "I don't like this," just, "Put the song back on." Zain didn't move. "Put the song back on," she typed again. And then, for the first time, she looked directly into the camera. And her eyes. Zain said he'd never forget those eyes. He couldn't explain what was wrong with them. They weren't red, they weren't black, they looked normal. But the expression, if you could even call it that, wasn't anger, wasn't frustration. It was something like pain, like the recitation was physically hurting her. Zain's hand hovered over his keyboard. His heart was hammering now. Every logical part of his brain was telling him this was just some weird girl messing around, playing a character, trolling a stranger online. But his gut was screaming. He didn't turn it off. He kept the recitation playing. And she disconnected. Just like that. The screen went black. No warning, no goodbye. She was there. And then she wasn't. Zain sat in his apartment for a long time after that. The recitation was still playing. He didn't stop it. He let it play for almost an hour. He told me he went to sleep with the lights on that night. And the next morning, he tried to rationalize it. Of course he did. We all do. It was a prank. It was some girl with a weird voice filter on her mic. She was acting out. She was messing with him. There's always an explanation. But here's the thing. The voice wasn't filtered. He was certain of it. He'd heard enough voice changers in his time on these apps. This was different. This wasn't a tool or a plugin. This was something that came out of a person or out of something pretending to be one. And the reaction to the Quran. You can fake a lot of things on a screen, but you cannot fake that kind of immediate, visceral recoil, that sudden stillness, that desperate need for it to stop. He stopped using those random chat apps after that night. Just stopped, cold. He said it felt like he'd accidentally opened a door he didn't know existed, and he wasn't interested in opening it again. He told his father about it during a phone call a few weeks later. His father was quiet for a long time. Then he said something in Arabic that Zain roughly translated for me as, "There are things on this earth that wear familiar faces, and they are terrified of what is holy." Zain didn't say anything after that. Neither did I. Some things don't need a response.
I'm not going to tell you what that woman was. I'm not going to pretend I have answers.
Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was everything. What I do know is this. Zain is not the kind of person who makes things up. He's not dramatic. He's not chasing attention. He told me this story quietly, in the middle of an ordinary conversation, the way people tell things they genuinely don't understand. And I think that's the most unsettling part. He wasn't scared anymore, not by the time he told me. He was just thoughtful, like a man who learns something about the world he wished he didn't know. So the next time you're scrolling late at night, flicking through strangers, music blasting, thinking it's just a harmless way to kill some time, remember Zain. Remember the woman in the dark room. And remember what made her leave. Oh, and there's one more thing. Zain almost didn't tell me this part. He said he'd blocked it out for a while. Not on purpose, just his brain didn't want to hold on to it. A few weeks after that night, he was going through some old stuff on his phone. Screenshots, saved videos, normal things. And he found it. He had accidentally hit the screen record button that night. He didn't even realize it. The whole encounter, from the moment she appeared, to the dancing, to the voice, to the disconnection, it was all recorded. What made it harder for him to dismiss was how ordinary the recording looked. The app interface was visible. The tiny network icon was there. His own cursor movements were there. For a few seconds, the music player bar was still visible before he switched apps. It did not look polished or staged. It looked messy, accidental, and real in the way phone recordings usually do. He watched it back. The video showed exactly what he remembered. The dark background, the niqab, the swaying, him asking for her name 3 times. He checked the timestamp more than once. It matched that night. The audio matched his speakers. Even his own nervous breathing was faintly caught by the phone microphone when he leaned closer to the screen. But when she answered, on the recording, her mouth didn't move. Not slightly, not a little, not out of sync. Her mouth, behind the veil, the small gap where her lips would be, was completely still. Not a single movement, not one. But the voice was there, clear as anything, on the recording. A voice with no source. He deleted the video that same night. He said he didn't want it on his phone anymore. I didn't ask him why. I think we both already knew. If you've had something like this happen to you, something you can't explain, something the internet gave you that you wish it hadn't, let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and some of them I wish I hadn't. And I'll see you in the next one.